Hi everyone, my name's Dan Pasto, and today we're on location in the kitchen.
Yeah!
I just got done finishing shot 3 in my Ketchup versus Mustard drive-by shooting Kendrick Lamar music video thing. In the song, Kendrick sings "Mustard" for like a super long time, and at that time, Mustard shows up in his 68 Chevy and pulls out a AK-47 and fucking kills that guy, and it's awesome.
Now, this project is 6 shots long. Shot 3 is the most elaborate. It's kind of the money shot. We cut from a snap zoom close-up in shot 2 where the Mustard shoots the AK off screen. It's implied that he's shooting the ketchup packet, but the audience doesn't officially know that yet. Then we get this awesome POV shot where we fill in that blank. It's like, oh yeah, he's lighting that guy up.
Shot 2 is kind of like I'm tossing the ball up to myself. And then shot 3 is when I like, knock that fucking thing out of the park, know what I'm saying? Part of what makes this shot work is that I'm going from a gun that's this big to a gun that's this big. It really helps make the gun feel big and dangerous. I'm a stop motion animator, but I don't want my work to like feel small, you know? It's kind of tricky to do. You gotta be really strategic. Also, you need to own a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, the solution to most problems is spending more money. Now, shot 3 plays the most important role in the sequence. It's also got the most going on. By a lot. Basically, you got the gun, the packet, and the camera move. It's only 3 things, but actually each of those 3 things is at least 2 things.
The gun is 3 things. The gun itself, the lighting, and the muzzle flares. The camera is 2 things. The side and the up-down. The packet is 3 things. The packet itself, the floor ketchup, and the wall ketchup.
I figured out most of this stuff in advance. I can't improvise that much stuff. I don't think anyone can.
The project is shot on 30 frames per second, but in this shot, I actually animate on 3 different frame rates.
This multi-frame technique is something I don't see talked about super often. The most notable and most recent example I can think of is Spider-Punk. He's just about the only time I ever see anybody talking about multiple frame rates at once.
The gun and the camera both animate on 1s. Every frame, the gun and the camera are in a different place. The light animates on 2s. It's on for 2 frames and off for 2 frames. The packet animates on 3s. I feel like 3s gives it the kind of strobe-y kind of feel that I was going for.
Like the gun is like a strobe light, and like you only see movement when the light is on, or when the gun fires. Also, animating the ketchup was by far the least interesting, most shittiest part of this project, so making it move only 10 times a second was a strategic move to save my mind and my body. So I'm gonna break down how I animated this shot. Let's talk about the gun first. Now, what's actually really funny about this whole thing is I already owned this before I came up with the idea to use it in a project. Without it, I never would have been able to achieve this specific look on camera. And what's really funny, the toy's actually broken. See right here, the barrel fell off. The cat knocked it off a shelf one time. I almost threw it out. I'm so glad I didn't.
The gun runs along 80-20 track, parallel to the angle of the lens. This lets me increment the gun closer to and further from the lens. I'm also animating the tip going up and down.
I'm sticking the gun like point blank to the probe lens. I even removed the stock to get even closer, make it feel even bigger.
I made replacement muzzle flares in advance so I could save myself some time while animating. They're real simple, just cotton ball bits and sticky wax. 2 and 3 are sculpted circles stuck to transparencies. You can get 100 of these at Staples for real cheap.
I did some testing in advance, and I settled on a 4-frame loop for the gun. So there's a 4-frame sequence that I just repeat over and over again.
Frame 1, the gun is firing. The gun and the bolt are at their maximum positions, farthest points from camera. The overhead flashlight is turned on, causing a nice reflection on the barrel. Flare 1 is on the tip, and I shine another flashlight on it to make it look all explodey. Frame 2, the bullet is leaving the barrel. The bolt slides just a bit back, and the gun moves a little closer to the camera. The tip sometimes starts pointing upward, but not always. Don't want this loop to feel too samey. Flare 1 is removed and Flare 2 is placed on the barrel. Blast it aggressively with the flashlight, as much as you can. Frame 3, the bullet has fully left the barrel. The gun and the slide are now at their minimum positions, closest points to camera. Flare 2 is removed and Flare 3 is placed on the barrel, but I do not shine a light on it. The overhead light turns off. This makes it feel more smoky than explodey. Frame 4, the gun is finished firing and will fire again next frame. Remove the flare and slide the gun away from camera, and move the bolt a hair shy of its minimum position. Point the tip down slightly and get ready to do it all again.
I repeated this 4-frame sequence for 90 frames. You can count how many times that is if you really want to. It may seem like a lot of work, but I actually found it very comfortable. I got a nice groove and only made a couple mistakes. I didn't try to be perfect. I didn't try to perfectly repeat the loop every time. Sometimes the tip is pointing a little more down, sometimes it's pointing a little more up, sometimes it starts a little farther away or ends up a little closer. Like, it's all good. It's actually a good thing that the loop doesn't repeat perfectly. It stops the frames from rhyming and it helps disguise the loop. The camera moving helped hide the move as well. The camera's on a gear head, which allows for precise control along the side, and the up-down. Or pan and tilt if you want to be technical. I basically freeballed the camera move. I figured I wanted it to feel shaky and unpredictable, so why bother planning anything out, right?
The only real trick was keeping subtlety. It's very easy to move too much, and a bad camera move ruins good animation. Just remember that no matter how small your previous move was, there's always a smaller move.
Feel free to overmove and then crank it back again. Then overmove and crank it back again. This adding and subtracting will get you where you need to go. Just remember where you were.
In hindsight, the move could have been even more chaotic, but I was scared of muddying the animation, making it too hard to see. I ended up needing to add a bunch of digital screen shake in post, something I don't really love doing, but it had to be done. If I took an hour and did a few more move tests before the animation, I may have ended up with a stronger move.
That's fine. It's totally fucking fine. The final element at play is the packet itself. I wanted the bullets to hit him and for him to feel like he was getting jostled around. Like, I wanted him to feel like vibraty. You know, like, something like that. He was held in place with black butyl, a black, sticky, tar-like substance that I use a lot to make stuff stick to other stuff. The trick with animating the packet, again, it's subtlety. This shot is 3 seconds long, and he doesn't even fall over by the end of it. He can't get too fucked up too fast.
It's so easy to reduce him to goo in a second, but I really needed him to retain his shape for longer. So whenever I removed a part of him, I'd tell myself to wait another 15 frames until I can remove another part. I periodically put ketchup on the floor around him when it felt right. Again, I tried not to overdo it.
The last thing I had to do was animate the bloody ketchup spewing out around him. This was done by painting ketchup onto the wall behind him. And it sucked, because I couldn't see where I was painting while I was painting. I had to guess. Oftentimes I'd put a glob on the wall, then I'd look, and it'd be slightly too high. Then I'd have to wipe it away while remembering where it was. Hopefully I'd get it after like 1 or 2 tries, but sometimes I think it took like 5. This one sucked. I hated doing it. It was no fun at all. Every time I got to a good position, I'd think to myself, thank God I don't have to do that again for another 3 frames. I was going through baby wipes like a motherfucker, dude. This bag was full when I started. Look at that, it's almost gone. Also, if you're ever animating gross shit, put your keypad in a Ziploc. Keep it fresh, don't let him in. Don't let it in. It was a slugging match. A gross, stinky slugging match.
But it's not enough to survive stop motion. No, survival is just the beginning. You have to thrive. You have to perform amidst all the bullshit. That's where the artistry begins.
Remember, I'm doing all of this at the same time. And I'm delivering a performance on top of that.
All everyone sees is the final frame. People don't see the labor, the struggle, the war. The tree is invisible, only the fruit. 99% of what we do is lost in the translation to screen. Misery does not one-to-one equal great art. This particular medium requires more suffering than most, however, but it's important to remember that nobody really cares, so don't go around bragging to the CG guys about how tough you are.
Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe and take a shit and die.
If you're still interested in how this animation was made, you can check out my Let's Animate series, where I recorded myself animating and narrated my thought process in real time.
There, here, how you doing? No, that's bad.
If stop motion is something that interests you, watching me work may just answer some burning questions, or give you some secret wisdom you didn't know you needed. Thanks again to my patrons. You guys are the best. Have a great day.